Okay, um, we're going to take a look at the final project rubric that is available to you guys on Inside Rankin. In fact, can someone log into Inside Rankin and verify you can see this on your machines? It should be open. But to kind of start here at the top, the final project is due on 12/18 at 8:05. No late work will be accepted. So this is the one assignment. All the grades are due like on the 20th, right? So I can't take late assignments on this one. Cool. All points on the rubric will be all or nothing, meaning no partial credit, right? So you do or you don't, no partial credit. This rubric is out of 100 points and is worth 10% on your final grade. Now, that doesn't mean, and so students get confused by that, it's worth 10%, meaning I could go up 10% from where I am, and that's not the math behind how this works. I want you to imagine a student with a 95% A in this class, and then they ace this final project rubric. It doesn't bring them up to 105. This is a weighted portion of the overall grade, and there's grade weighting for labs, and there was a grade weighting for like 5% for those little quizzes that we had, and there was a hands-on test weight go in there. So unfortunately, what this means is if you don't do this, it will take 10% off from your grade. So the downside is bigger than the upside. Okay, meaning if you got a 95% and you don't do this, you'll be sitting at an 85%. Right? But if you complete this at 100, you'll maintain your A, you'll get your 97.5, it'll go up a few percentage points, and that's just the math, okay? So realize there's more downside to this if you don't do it than upside, if you ace it at a 100. Now, sure, it can swing you from a B to an A or a C to a B, and I've seen, percentage swings of 4, 5, 6, 7%, depending on the situation. Okay? So just realizing that's the math behind how this works. Now, when it comes to your source code requirements, so I will be grading your source code, of course. A lot of this is just maintaining the... So I wanted to kind of start with maintaining the code that you already wrote this semester. So there's little onesie twosies points for like making sure that you didn't delete some stuff. Like all of the code that were built into your labs needs to be operational in your final project. Okay, so really what all of these 2 and 3 points are, these are all labs that you've already completed. If you're caught up on the class, you've completed these labs, and all you got to do is include them in your source code in an operational format. And those are the easiest points on this. Okay. Now, there are many requirements that we introduced on Lab 0202 that we just couldn't do quite then and there. Okay. So I have Lab 0202 open, and it talks about, different roles that we're going to have. What different roles can do. Business analysts can do that. QAs, developers can do that. So on and so forth. Okay, so there's 10 points here, basically going back to Lab 0202 and working those requirements into your final project. Those were introduced a long time ago as like, hey, this is coming, and we've been building towards those things, but let's just make sure that those are in fact implemented. Okay. There's also some points down here, 10 points and 10 points. We actually did not have a lab where you did anything with comments. And I'm just thinking like CRUD operations on comments. Now, you don't have to do full CRUD operations. In fact, if you look at Lab 0202, it says comments cannot be edited. So there's no like edit operation. But anyone can add comments to a bug, and the comments must include these things, and bugs can have multiple comments. So we're going to have to kind of add a requirement here of working with the comments and working with these test cases. Now, my thought process, in how students have done this, you find that once you've done this once, you've done this twice, you start to get into a rhythm and it should go faster. Okay, but factually at this point, you guys have worked with bugs, and you've worked with users, and you've worked with products, and you've worked on users and on another test, right? So you've done this stuff a few times. So, okay, so adding a little bit of functionality that we haven't built into the labs. Okay, here's another. All database operations must automatically show the result without a manual refresh. Okay, and you guys have seen this many times where if you're not using React Router or the use effect hook in the right way, you have to kind of manually refresh the page. And that's just not like a usability feature that you would expect to find, right? Your operations should just refresh the data and kind of show the updated information. The product was added, there's the product. The product was edited, there's the edit. You don't have to manually refresh the page. And then finally, all functionality should be accessible through some sort of navigation links. It doesn't have to be on a nav bar, but you shouldn't have to manually type in any URLs, right? So I should not have to manually type in any front-end URLs to access any functionality on the project. And so that's 60 points out of the 100. Okay, now there's 40 more points in a video demonstration of the final project, right? So to get into the video demonstration, you must record a live demonstration of your issue tracker. You can choose YouTube unlisted or public, so it's up to you. Unlisted, you can just share the link with whoever you want to share the link with. It's not open to the internet. Public's kind of cool, and I will even share this, that I've had students make a video with thousands of views. I could literally show you a video with several thousands of views where people are just kind of generally intrigued by what they did. So it's up to you, whatever you want, unlisted or public. I kind of think, the point of this is to get eyeballs on the code that you write, right? Especially if you can find someone in a hiring sense, so why keep it unlisted? If you're trying to get eyeballs on this, trying to get someone to hire you based on this, I would kind of suggest making it public so people can find it easily, right? But it's up to you. You can record yourself with OBS or anything you're familiar with. If you're unfamiliar with any recording software, my students all recommended to me OBS, and that's what my students have recommended to me. That's what I use personally, but there are others. And you should have already by this time done this a time or two, so you should at least be familiar with something, because this is not your first rodeo. You do not need to record your face, but it is optional. Again, I think that adds to it. Again, that's what my students have told me. I said, hey, do you even care about my face on these videos? And they're like, yeah, it adds a little to it. So, that's the feedback my students have given me. I give you the same feedback. It does add to see your face. However, you don't want your face covering the source code or covering the demo or anything like that. Put it off in a spot that doesn't matter. Okay, you're going to introduce yourself on this recording. Introduce yourself and introduce the project. You can optionally use slides as your guide. So you can make one or two slides, where you kind of like, this is what I'm going to talk about. Just say, put your name on there. I'm a third semester student at Rankin Technical College. Just introduce yourself. Who are you? And then introducing the project, you're going to introduce the tech stack. So, hey, this semester I learned this MERN stack, Mongo, blah, blah, blah. You might have images on the slides introducing the technologies. Like, I learned all this JavaScript technology stack. And what did you learn from doing this final project? Like, if you had to identify like 2 or 3 things, like major takeaways that you will remember with you for like the next, years to come, like, what are the big takeaways that you've learned by doing this? Presumably, my understanding is none of you have done a full stack MERN application before, so you've had some learning takeaways undoubtedly in this class, right? So, okay, that's the introduction. There's 2 points for 15 maximum minutes. video editing, is optional. If you want to do a one shot, record yourself in a one shot, you can do that. I will tell you that there's a little requirement down here. Well, if you don't edit out you do not want like bugs in your recording. If you know there's a bug in your software, no one writes perfect software. That's okay. It's not the end of the world if you got a bug. Okay, but you don't want to show off your bug in your recording, right? You want to put those under the rug a little bit. Okay. So you may choose to edit out, like if you're demoing your application in a one shot and you got some bugs, you might have to start over. You might have to, if you're not going to do the editing. If you know how to edit and you can edit that out, then edit it out. But if not, you do a one shot, don't include it. Okay?
What's an example of a bug like a common example of a bug that would happen?
A common example of a bug that would happen would be like this. You got, hey, let me show you how to register your new user. You click the register user and nothing happens. Like you would assume you click register user, it redirects the user, it welcomes the user. That's an example. Oh, let me show you how I can edit this bug. You click save and it doesn't work. Okay, I mean there's like unlimited wah. Like I have them, like you all see them. No one's perfect. We have those little moments. Does that answer your question? Yeah. All right. 15 minutes because there's a lot of you, and I also like, how long are people really going to watch this? Can you get someone's attention for 15 minutes? That's pretty good if you can, right? But if there's one thing I've learned from putting my stuff out on YouTube is people's attention spans are crazy short. Okay. In the demonstration, okay, this is what I'm asking for in your demo. You need to demo registration of a user, of course, logging in a user. After logging in, display a welcome message to the logged in user and their roles on the page. Okay, that should be pretty simple. It's just a little 3-pointer. Okay, but also in the demonstration, you are going to log in as 5 different users with different roles and demonstrate what that unique role is able to do. So you log in as a developer, you see you're logged in as a developer, let me show you what a developer can do. You log on as a BA, let me show you what a BA can do. You log in as a QA, let me show you what a QA can do. Okay, so you are demonstrating the permissions. You're demonstrating the authentication and the authorization, right, that we set up in those labs. Right? And that's the demo, like introducing yourself, your takeaways, let me show you my software. And I did put a 10% bonus because this is not something that we necessarily focused on this class. I did show you how to deploy to G-Cloud. I did show you how to redeploy to G-Cloud, but I'm going to tell you if you go to redeploy to G-Cloud right now, you will encounter problems. It will be deploying live always has new challenges, okay? And for that reason, okay, I'm making this a bonus because this is going to be something you have to figure out on your own and how to deploy. Whether you're deploying to G-Cloud, you can deploy anywhere you want to. I don't care. As long as it's live on the internet and it's full stack, if you get it deployed, you're going to get a 10% bonus. And so it doesn't matter, right? A 10% bonus, you could have a 70 on this thing, and then you get the 10% bonus and bumps you up to an 80, okay? Or you get 100, you get 110. Whatever it is an open offer, a little carrot to chase after, because again, it is not something that we focused on completely in this class. And I want to offer that little carrot for you guys. Other questions about the rubric? Sir?
I have 2 quick ones.
Yes.
First, so for the roles, we don't have to like demo a customer role or anything, right?
You do not have to demo any other role. If you have other roles and you want to, you can. Okay? But you do not have to.
I forgot the second one.
All good.
Yeah.
Henry?
I remember like when we were setting this thing up in like was it like a unit or whatever?
A what?
UML.
UML, yeah.
And so, in the beginning, I think we were storing like pretty much everything in different collections,
Yeah.
comments, and
Yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
like that. So I just stuck with that. I kept comments
Great.
separate, bugs separate.
You
Now,
can, yeah.
I'm wishing I incorporated comments because you like everything that's accessed together, stored together.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like,
It's a little late, in my opinion, for a major refactor like that.
yeah. So
Okay.
I'm thinking maybe just make like a separate, oh, here's a blog or something like that, like a navigation link called blog or whatever. It just displays all the comments. I'm just brainstorming, but how would you? Because comments is still.
Yeah, well, I would imagine if I view the bug details, I would just see all the comments on that
like
bug.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, in my view, if you get a list of bugs and there's a page, you got 30 bugs. So let's talk about seed data. One more thing here, okay? Seed data. Your seed data right now is trash. You don't want to keep it necessarily that way. I would make this look like, joemama@gmail.com is not a good user, okay? And I've had a student use joemama@gmail.com. That's where that comes to mind. Okay, put in seed data that looks like it is an actual working software application. You don't want dummy data. Okay, make it look real. So your bugs should have decent comments, like what is the bug and what are the comments, and you might have to get rid of all your dumb data and make it look presentable. Right now, it's not presentable. Does that make sense? So
So now like Chris Farley users.
I would not have Chris Farley as my user. I would clean that up a little bit. Again, this is meant to be the kind of the professional, kind of cleaned up interfacing website here. Sorry? I would say that about all your data, about users and bugs. I would clean up all the data. And so I don't want a bug that's called, bug 1, bug 2, bug 3. Does that make sense? What would be an actual bug in this software that you're creating? Okay? Other questions? Yes.
Does there need to be like a central like hub and a dashboard or something? Because like if someone makes a new account,
Okay. So what about adding features, adding requirements? Like what about you log in and you log into like a landing page that's a dashboard and you could see. Yes, that's all additional though. Does that make sense? If you want to add, like, because this is like something you want to do good at, right? Like, if these are the grading points that I'm going to grade on. If you want to add something, you can add something. If you want to change something, that's where I wouldn't change something, I don't care where your landing page is necessarily. As long as you have login and register and you got authentication, authorization, you got these basic, back end routes and this basic front end functionality, you can add things. And so, yeah, dashboards, or you want to bring in, Joelle's like, hey, what APIs can I bring into this? And we're not really interfacing with any public APIs. Yeah, bring in some APIs, bring in, whatever you want to add, totally fine.
I'm just struggling like where to redirect the user on register if they can't like view data. Because like I know the welcome.
Yeah, the easy answer there is you just redirect all users to a welcome page. Like I think that's what Henry's doing. This is my project. Here's my project description. Here's what I've learned. Here's the technology stack. Whatever. Here's a user to log in as. Just like imagine an actual internet person lands on your website and they don't even know how to interact with it. Oh, log in is this, and you could start to see the data in my Mongo database, like an actual description and like how to use this, maybe. And that could be your landing page. Okay. Then what we'll do is on the last 2 days, we'll be watching each other's videos and watching each other's live demos. And when your live demo goes, that's when I'm looking at your source code, and that's when I'm grading your final project. I'm going to call you up to my screen, you know, and, you know, launch your application on my machine, log in as a user or two, check the functionality of the source code. Sorry? That's the last 2 days of the class. So if I'm looking at the last 2 days of the class, day 79 and day 80 are when we'll be doing that. So that's 18 and 19. So that is Wednesday and Thursday of next week. The last day is on the 19th, yes. We're doing it the last 2 days. Yep.
Are we doing like a little potluck?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that.